Hello, and welcome to the Think Different podcast. We are excited to discuss WWDC 21. Are you excited? I'm excited. I love you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you watch this on YouTube, my God, do I look sexy as an emoji. But if you're listening to us right here, go watch the YouTube video because I look sexy as an emoji. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Think Different podcast. That's right, season 1 of the Think Different podcast. And that's right, it is former Apple employees, me, TLD, and of course, Frank Drummer, all here. We worked as specialists, creatives, I as a genius, but we are experienced Apple retail employees, and WWDC 21 has completed. We are here to talk about that, but we hope you enjoyed last show where we did all of our Google reviews from different episodes, combined them together, and made a quick video because we figure, why talk about WWDC 1-2 days before it's coming out anyway? So, here we are, Frank. Another great day here at our Think Different podcast, but, you know, one thing I will tell you is on our YouTube channel, your numbers video is getting some vibe. If you actually look up how to use numbers, that is the first video that pops up.
Oh, there you go. How you like that, huh?
Yep. So you were looking for those views, Frank, like my Pages video. But I told you in time it will happen, and you're like almost, and it's growing and it's becoming very positively reviewed. Check out all of our training videos, the how-to series that we do have on our YouTube channel, and leave us a thumbs up, give us a review, subscribe. We enjoy all of that. In fact, Frank, guess what? The number one country that loves us the most is Ireland.
All right. Hey.
Yeah, Ireland loves us. Yes.
I love Guinness.
Oh, well, that makes one of us. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about what happened on WWDC 21. Now, of course, you can go back and watch the amazing video. I did enjoy the open of the video of the keynote where they were asking all the developers how they should start it, and they have like all these different ideas, and Apple literally did every single one of the ideas with the fake Tim Cook and the fake Craig, which I thought was really funny. Apple does such a great job with production regarding the opening of their video. It's always very memorable stuff on their keynote. That alone should just be its own video.
Yeah. Well, I kind of disagree with you there. I was like, I was kind of like, all right, come on, let's get on with it. Let's jump right into it.
But they do that every year.
They do. But this, for whatever reason, this seemed a little long to me. But
it was definitely long. Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. But then when Steve came, I'm sorry, Steve. It's not Steve. He's not here anymore. When Tim Cook came into the crowd, and then all the emojis of the people were there, that was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Now, I got to ask you this before we get into everything that they covered. I felt that there was something definitely missing, and to me, it was Tim Cook. He came out in the beginning and at the end. Now, I don't know if that means that he's pulling away and that he's going to be announcing his retirement soon. I don't know. But I just thought that was kind of strange. Because in the past, he would always come back out in between presenters. This year, it was
they went right to one after the other.
It was Craig Federici.
Right. Yeah, and Tim has always never been the presenter of a lot of things. He's not that guy. He's not Steve. He doesn't know the ins and outs of the hardware and software, to be honest. You know, he's really just more of the face of the company. He's definitely not going to be what Steve was, where he could explain
I know
everything.
that, but what I mean is I believe that face is like fading into the background more and more.
Yeah, I can see that. And that definitely comes across that way. Tim could have definitely been more present on this podcast, on this keynote, or what do you want to call it, event.
Right.
on WWDC21. I will tell you, for the hardware ones, he definitely is more present. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at last year's WWDC on comparing the two, because last year's was so memorable with everything that they announced with the widgets changes.
Right.
And then they also talked about the M1 coming out, which was a humongous deal. It was such an eventful event that this year definitely did not come across as that.
Well,
and that's probably that's probably due to a lack of hardware announcements.
Yeah. But certainly there's a lot of operating system enhancements, a lot of changes. FaceTime.
Yeah, actually, that's the first thing we were going to talk about, because that's obviously what they start off with. If you wanted Zoom for your iPhone, you just got it, because that's exactly what they did for FaceTime, where now you have a video and music sharing built into FaceTime. You have screen sharing built into FaceTime. SharePlay allows you to listen or watch the same thing at the same time.
Yeah, music, movies, share your screen. And it works across all Apple devices. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And it's built directly right into the device. You don't have to download Zoom, make a Zoom account, and rely on them. You're going to be relying on the Apple. Now, one thing that I watched, Marquis Brown, who's like the very well known YouTuber that talks about all the tech stuff. He made points that everything that was announced has already been in pretty much every Android device, except for one thing, which we're going to get to later. But pretty much everything that's already been announced has already been seen in other devices before. This is not new. They didn't come up with some groundbreaking software that no one else has made, except for one, which we'll get to later.
Well, but the difference being that this is all tied into something that they talked about at the end, and that is Apple's privacy. So this infrastructure that Apple has built adheres to the keep it simple rule. You don't have to have a million different apps doing different things. You can do all these things with the core applications within the Apple infrastructure, and it is all protected around iCloud and global protection, all encrypted.
We're going to get to that. I don't want to fast forward to that. Sticking with FaceTime, though, they are allowing Android and they are allowing web versions of FaceTime, which is really great. So now that now anybody can FaceTime whoever. It doesn't matter. You just have to send them a link to do it, which is great. And I like that, because now Android people, who I do have friends that are Android people.
You do?
Yeah, of course I do.
Oh, man.
They're stupid, but
come on.
They're stupid friends.
Yeah.
But they are Android users, and now that Apple has given the ability to allow that, so that's great. So the new FaceTime features is really great. Next up is about text and photos. Again, Google has had this forever, but now Apple has that, but it looks a little bit better than what Google can do regarding some of the things that they're going to, as far as the seamless
the messages, stack photos, collage.
I'm talking about the live text, where you could digitalize text in your photos. You can copy and text directly from a photo, or even if there's a phone number there, you can give a call. I will tell you that, compared to Google's, this definitely feels like it's much improved over Google's version of this. But it's exciting for iPhone users. It's going to be exciting.
Well, I think one of the things that most how do I want to say this? One of the things that the seasoned Apple users recognize is that Apple does not clamor to be the first to have something out there.
Right.
What they do is they'll look at what's out there and say, all right, how can we improve this?
Right.
And when they issue something compatible, it's usually much improved over the previous versions on other devices. So they're more concerned with the quality of the item and the feature. And I think that's what they've done here.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you on that. Now, this is kind of unique as well, but this could be a little scary for some people. So, Apple Wallet is going to allow you to store your actual ID in a digital form in participating U.S. states, which will then allow you to use identification in airports.
Yes. Will, I got to tell you, this was one of the highlights for me.
Yeah,
man.
this was I
I
wasn't expecting this.
I was like, wow, this is fabulous.
Because that means that the TSA has to be a part of that.
Oh yeah.
So the government is allowing this feature, and they feel, because they have to also feel like that it's securely going to be stored in there. I don't think Google is going to have something like that at all. You would definitely. I would never put that in a Google device ever. They use your information for everything,
right?
And I would never put that information inside of my phone. But the fact that the TSA is going to be allowing this, and this is coming out later in iOS 15, not exactly right when it's released in the fall.
Right.
But my God, and whatever states allow it, we hope New Jersey obviously allows it.
I hope so, but probably not. Jersey sucks. So, and they're also doing the car keys, the house keys,
the house identification
badges.
for home.
I thought was another good one. How many people that that work for a corporation, you store it right in there?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Hotel keys.
I mean, that's already been around, but definitely with the ID and like your own work badges, like what will be necessary for that to work? Because I work somewhere where I do need a badge.
Yeah.
So I'm sure Apple's going to implement it in their Apple stores and on their campus.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah.
How many times we had the key in that code to get into the back door, right?
Yes, sir.
You just, take your. I always said, the lanyards we had. Why not give us a holder for your phone?
I believe now they do use that now. I think they all have some kind of card key now, so that definitely might have changed. Yeah. Let's switch over to iPadOS 15. Lets you drop widgets on your home screen and brings changes to multitasking. So two big things there. One is that widgets now could be anywhere on the screen. Thank God for that, because to be locked down on one spot was a little annoying. But now they're also doing some multitasking. Now, when I saw some of the preview of that multitasking, it definitely looks improved over what they have now. Now, for me as an iPad user, I don't have an Apple Pencil. So I think having that is a little bit better to have it with. But there's different controls to manage your apps. There's different controls to put them together. So I do think there is something to this. But again, it's not... I can't still say if you wanted to have a computer, like if you were to choose between a laptop or a desktop. If you had a desktop, I would tell you to get an iPad. But if you have to get a laptop over an iPad, you're getting a laptop every time. And iPad still has not convinced me that I would need that. Not to mention, again, they don't have any big apps on there that Apple makes, like again, Logic or Final Cut.
Right.
Right. Or even if they did, at least with iMovie, have like iMovie Pro and have some more advanced things in there. But man.
Yeah. Well, I kind of like the quick note that you brought up from the lower right-hand corner, and just, instead of clicking on the Notes app, you just kind of touched the lower right-hand corner, dragged it up.
That's nice.
Do a quick note.
That I like.
Yeah.
And it links it directly to that app, so if you go back to it, you can catch up right where you were.
And then you could you do the hashtags. You can group your notes by tagging them. That was kind of nice.
Yeah, hashtags is going to take over. What I think, Apple has tags now. Like if you go in Finder, they have a tag feature now, but now they're going to replace that with a hashtag, and that's basically what that's going to be. Also, Apple welcome a lot more privacy features, especially to Mail and Safari. So let's talk about...
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so this obviously has to do with iCloud Plus.
Yes.
And iCloud Plus was a surprise to me with this announcement. More importantly, iCloud Plus is going to be built in already. So they're not actually... I remember when I heard that and they said there's going to be a fee. And I'm like, oh my God, Apple's going to charge for basically a VPN service. But they're not. They're giving it to you completely with your plan, which, of course, I am on.
Yep.
But iCloud Plus is really cool. So there's a couple things. Let's talk about iCloud Plus because I thought this was very, very interesting.
Well,
so a couple things. I was going to talk about the privacy features like private relay, hide your email. You get to create your own email domain name.
Well, wait a minute. Before you get there, a couple of things that that as a creative, and I know you as a genius, people would come in all the time, and we had no recourse for them. Account recovery contact list.
Yes.
Digital legacy process.
Yeah.
Add people to your account so that if, God forbid, you should pass away.
Everyone passes away. Okay, let's just get that straight.
How many times did a widow or widower come in and say, I would like to get pictures of my husband, wife, mother, and they couldn't get into the account?
Yes.
Remember how many times that would happen? People would be almost in tears and we couldn't do anything for you. Here it is. It's right here. Mm-hmm. You can set it up ahead of time. Your account recovery, if you forget your password or whatever, it'll send a 6-digit code to whoever you have on your contact list. You would name specific people like Tara, like my wife Barbara, maybe my daughter, so that if something I forgot and I couldn't remember what the hell it was, instead of locking me out, it's going to send a recovery code to one of those numbers to help you get in. The digital legacy, you can add your significant other to that list.
I think whoever's going to be on your family. I think you have to be in the family feature. That's where I think is going to allow it. I'm wondering if they're going to allow other people outside. Like, my mother and I don't share the same family account because I don't want her through my service. It doesn't make any sense to do that.
Right.
We don't live in the same household. Plus, because she buys these stupid things on these apps that are like you have to pay for. I do not want to be charged for that. So,
well, I think it's going to be whoever you designate. I don't think they have to be on your plan. It's just someone you designate as a recipient of this particular information. Should something happen to you,
now,
but we'll see what the particulars are.
Yeah, we have not. They have not said that yet. But I will tell you that if they say they have to be in the family sharing thing, well, then that does help. But if both of us pass away, like in a car accident or something, that's a problem.
Yes. So that's what makes me think. I think they've thought ahead on something like that. I think it's pretty much anybody you designate, but we'll see.
Yep.
So go ahead. Now let's talk about the iCloud Plus privacy relay.
Yeah.
Private relay. This is very cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I thought you had more.
Oh no. I was just trying to do a lead in for you.
No, so if you ever heard of a VPN, that's basically what this is. You're creating a VPN built in, and what you're doing is you're masking your IP address and you're masking what you're doing, especially through like your mail, and the idea is that you'll be able to hide that from your tracking feature to all your sites that you're visiting, which is what a VPN service does anyway.
Yes.
So you could have been buying. I feel bad for all those VPN services out there because they're in some trouble now. Yeah. They have to compete now with Apple with this, and I'm excited because I've always wanted to do the VPN thing. Because I do feel like
but it's a little bit expensive.
It is expensive. You're talking like $8-9 a month for something like that you probably don't use all the time.
Yeah.
Only if you want to go to like sites that you're not supposed to be going to, or
when they announced this and they said you can set up multiple emails, different email. Well, multiple emails that you could use when you're shopping and shit like that. Do you remember what was the first Mobile Me? You remember Mobile Me? You were allowed to set up multiple email addresses that would go down to your real address, and then after any given length of time, you could delete them. You could do whatever you wanted with them. And this is exactly. I said, well, they're going back to what they had in Mobile Me because it's a great service. You can set up, Will and Tara at whatever, and use that as your shopping email address, and then when you get tired of getting spam in there, you can delete it.
Yeah, I like this a lot because I can now have my own email address at whatever I want it to be. Now, Google does have this. Again, I have to say this exists. Yeah. But but built right into Apple, especially into a plan. Now, you likely you are going to need to be part of iCloud Plus. You have to buy it. You're not going to get this for free at the free gig plan. You definitely are going to have to buy an upgraded service. I'm wondering if the tier levels make a difference too, but I found out there is, because if you're doing the HomeKit video recording,
yes. Right.
If you have the smaller plans, only one camera can be set up. If you have the 2 terabyte
one camera
plan,
can be recorded in iCloud.
Thank you. Thank you. You can have unlimited cameras if you have the 2 terabyte plan. So there is there's going to be limits on that.
But let's take, they say you have to have the 2 terabyte plan, but let's take a look at that. All right. You can go just with the iCloud storage, but if you're an Apple One premium member, which gets you Apple TV Plus, which gets you
Arcade,
fitness, news, all of that, that comes with 2 terabyte. Mm-hmm. So if you're part of that, this is just more icing on the cake.
Yeah, it gives you more of a reason.
Yeah,
it really, and honestly, it keeps you locked. This is locking you down even more. But I do like the idea of the family.
I don't know. Wait, let's define what you mean by locking down.
And the ecosystem.
Yes. Listen, it's giving you more of a reason to keep it simple. Mm-hmm. Stay within the family of apps within Apple, and you're going to get everything you need, plus the privacy.
Yep.
It's something that you don't think of until after the fact.
Speaking of privacy, jumping on that, Apple also told us now that Siri will no longer be necessary to have an internet connection. So now there's going to be on-device speech recognition, which is great. Also, the Translate app is coming to the iPad. Plus, it's going to have more natural responses, which I think is going to be really great. So now, there was that whole controversy where Siri was like stored like somewhere, and someone kind of leaked out that information. Now they had to, they tightened that down by doing it only on the device. So hopefully it makes it faster, which is what I'm hoping for.
And now some of the complaints I've always had, I don't like the voice, and they're very limited voices. So now they're expanding the voices. They're becoming more natural. Mm-hmm. So people should be happy with that. There's some new family sharing, new trusted family members. Mm-hmm. Everything's encrypted back and forth. How about in the health?
That's the next thing I was about to talk about was health. So now they're using a new health-focused features, including to share health data with family and friends and healthcare providers. I think that's great. A lot of times I don't know what my wife takes for medication, and having this now being available to me would be very helpful. Also, there's a lot of posture, a lot of different things they're adding to the health app to make it. They even had a study. They showed there was about 5 minutes of a healthcare provider trying to do this I don't know what it was about. It was 5 minutes of them just talking about. They went to Apple Cupertino. They were developing an app. Right. They met people there to do it. So I don't really remember much about that. That was kind of going past my head a little bit. So, you tell me. I don't even remember much about it.
Well, it was they increased the fall. It was for how they advertise these devices. If you fall, you can get emergency services. The Apple Watch does that, but what they did,
Frank, I saw you in that commercial with the thing that was around your neck.
Help me! I've fallen and I can't get up.
While the clapper was next to him.
So what they've done with this is they've devised an application that measures the gait of your walk, the frequency of the walk, all of the different attributes when you're walking, and it can detect some irregularity in that movement. So if you're being hampered by some physical ailment, it may send a notification saying, "Hey, we've noticed something in your steadiness. Do you need us to call your doctor? Are you feeling okay?" So it's more proactive rather than, "Hey, we see you fallen. Are you conscious? Do you need help? You know what I mean? So it's kind of more proactive, and all of their health apps, I believe, are becoming more proactive. Um, and again, it's all tied into the encrypted data in your phone, and giving you the ability to share your data with your physicians without, how many times you go to a different doctor for whatever ailment, and you got to write down all this shit again. It's like, come on, man. Really? You
Yeah.
need to, I got to fill this out on paper? What are you doing, man? Welcome to the 21st century, right?
Right. Another thing with now going to AirPods, they're also allowing them to make them easier to find. That was a cool thing. Not too many WatchOS 8 things I was impressed with the health or the photos. I don't know if there's anything
The
about
Breathe
that.
app. I mean, that's,
Yeah, whatever. Siri coming to third-party accessories, which is starting that transition to where they're going to be working with other brands. The coalition that Google, Amazon, and Apple are coming together, and eventually they are saying that
Yes.
you can add other items to the HomeKit. Like my Nest is not in the HomeKit, and I want it to be. So this is the start of it. It's on its way. Even the new focus feature, where in iOS 15 that it's almost like they're kind of setting up profiles on your phone, because they're letting you choose what you want to see, what do you want to come through.
Oh, you
on
mean
your
in
device.
the focus feature?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's I think for a disciplined person that can be most useful.
But how often are people going to do that? That's what I wonder.
Well, it's just like anything else. Listen, the phone has all these features, right? And what do you have? Maybe 20% of the people utilize them.
Yep. Well, I'm going to tell you right now exactly what I'm going to use it for. If I'm working, I don't need my baby monitor notifications to come off. I'm not at the house.
Right.
So I would like them to be off. So I think one of the things I'm going to set that up for is setting up my notifications to not come through the only things I want. So
Exactly.
that's even if it's one thing that
Yep.
makes it helpful
Yeah.
on that.
It's something that, because I think what people have realized is that the phones, as much as they are a helpful tool, they are also a detractor. They help us lose focus. How many times do you see people sitting at dinner and everybody's on their phone? Nobody's, they're all like this. It's like, hey, put the device down, look me in the eye, say hello, talk to me, what's going on, tell me what's new in your world. Don't text me what's new in your world. I'm right across the table from you. Let's talk about it. And I think it's making the device important, but making your focus the most important item. So hopefully that'll work. I thought, what did you think about their emphasis on shortcuts and how Animator is going to be moving out and shortcuts will be taking over?
I didn't think much of it. The shortcuts app's already there, so
Right,
it's,
right.
I mean, it's coming on the Mac.
Right.
With like I said, Automator is being replaced with that. I just hope it makes it just as easy. Automator, I learned during my work experience, like how very helpful that was. Going out in the work field, shortcuts. I've been trying a couple things here and there. Like for example, when I walk to my car, it automatically pops up on my watch to call my wife. But the problem is, it calls on my phone. It doesn't call on my watch. So it's kind of like there's always a step missing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to go out there and try to find somebody that knows how to make these.
Right.
But they're out there. You could go online, look up shortcuts that people have made. They publish them, and you can put them right into your device.
Yep.
No problem. So,
How about the new Safari? What do
well,
you think of that?
I was going to talk about that with Monterey, because that's the new macOS Monterey.
Right.
They're redesigning the entire bar with the kind of like integrating it into the website.
Yes.
They're streamlining it. Now I'm a little worried about that, because I think people might be a little confused about that. Like if Apple changes that right on the start of the of after the upgrade, I think that's going to piss a lot of people off. So if you upgrade to Monterey and you go to Safari for the first time and you see this new look to this tab bar, you got to understand the look of these bars has not really changed at all ever. Yeah. And Apple's trying to change it. I don't know if everyone's going to be ready for that.
Well, listen, I can only give you my take on it. And I thought that the way they did it really integrated the tabs beautifully into the color scheme of each of the web pages. And I thought it gave each of the tabs a more defined presence in the bar. I liked it. I thought that was going to be a very easy feature to get used to. I still know people who, instead of clicking on the plus sign to get another tab, they open another Safari session. And I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, I'm going to go to this other page. I'm like, okay. And it's gotten to the point with some people that I've worked with for years that I just say, okay, do it your way. Because I've showed them these features time and time again, and they just want to do it their way.
Right.
So I say, okay, whatever.
Yeah, we'll see if people are going to like the idea of having all those icons into one button, or they like having all of them out there, or if the tabs are going to be a little bit more recognizable. I mean, I'll have to try it, because if I switch it, if I don't like it and I switch it, then I think a lot of people are going to switch it.
Well, one of the things I like, you can have I forget what they called it.
Group tabs?
Group tabs, yes. So if there are tabs that you use on a consistent basis, you can put them in a group and then go right to that group, and they're all there for you. And you can set up multiples of these, and I thought that was pretty nice. Like, if I'm doing something with my drums, I can set up a musical group and have all the different vendors that I deal with there.
That to me is very valuable. I mean, that I absolutely agree is valuable. Now you can, I mean, technically you can open, folders that are all tabs. You technically already can do this. This is not like a new feature.
No, it isn't. But it's a different way of organizing it, different presentation, I should say. And it's a different presentation. Nice. But
I'm gonna let you know right now, though. But that's what I don't like. And this is where I'm gonna get a little heat on Apple about this stuff. There's a lot of stuff they're talking about that are already there. Like, I have a folder called like Purchase right here. If I right click on it and I say Open in Tabs, that's exactly the same thing that is already existing. So they're just renaming it, acting like it doesn't exist. That's exactly what it sounds like.
Yeah. Well, because, maybe for a lot of people it doesn't exist.
Well, I'm going to let you know, everybody, it exists already. But let's talk about my number one thing I saw that I thought was out of this world. Universal control. A single keyboard or mouse or trackpad will now work between the iPad and your Mac.
Yes.
You talk about this is the one thing I was saying.
Not just between your iMac and between your iPad and your Mac. It'll work between your iMac, your MacBook Pro, and your iPad. It'll go back and forth across all three devices.
And apparently all you have to do is put them in the wherever spot they are, and magically it just knows it's there.
Yep.
That's obviously using a gyroscope in some way, but my God, that was impressive. That's the one thing that I don't see anybody else doing. No. Not even Google can do that. There's no way.
I would suspect that all of those devices have to be logged in under the same Apple ID.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's got to be some.
But that was, you're right. That was like, I was like, Now
I'm trying to think of what I would use that for, but the idea, like, if I have my Mac and my iPad next to me and there's something on there I need to grab, I could see that being a real thing. And I think that was so cool.
Yep.
Very, very cool stuff. And then even AirPlay to Mac. I love the idea of just taking something and AirPlay into my Mac, especially if you had like an iMac. I think that's pretty neat.
Yep.
You know, you can use that as a speaker now, as an AirPlay speaker now. So that's great too. So now you have your own speaker built in there, which those are, you know, the new iMac ones are pretty impressive as it is.
Yeah.
But those, I mean, that's a lot of the things that came out with WWDC21. I don't think I have much more, but
well, they increased the Safari extensions as well.
Yeah,
which,
I don't use much of them.
Yeah. And the last thing I wanted to mention for those following the App Store saga, I just want to let people know that Apple paid $230 billion. I'm going to say that again, $230 billion to
Think of how many Xevias they could have got with that.
That's right. That's a lot of Xevia.
That's a lot of Xevia.
Now,
not sponsored, by the way.
That's an impressive number. That's since the App Store opened, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But still, $230 billion, even with Apple taking... Now, that's what they've given. That's the 70% that they've given to the developers.
That's not enough.
Well, hey.
For some companies, it's not enough.
It's not enough. So, and that's kind of what WWDC was all about. It was all virtual. They didn't charge anybody anything to get in this year.
Nope.
That was new.
Yeah, they have not done that. Yes.
So
now, one thing I will say about these results, which is why people are probably kind of piss poor on this one, besides the fact that they didn't have any announcements. Now, I don't remember last year's WWDC 20. Do you recall if they had any announcements?
Any hardware announcements?
Right.
I don't remember. But I'm
going to go with no, because I don't think they did.
At the end of the presentation, I was like, some people are going to be disappointed that there was no hardware announcements. But then I'm thinking, well, you know what? They've had announcements all through the year this year.
Yes.
And so
spring was a big when they say it was a spring loaded event, that was a spring loaded event.
Yeah. I think that you're going to see something.
And by the way, last year, no, there was not a hardware announcement last year.
I think you're going to see some hardware announcements before by the end of the next quarter.
Oh, iPhone, forget it. Yeah, you're going to see everything come out right then and there.
Yeah.
WWDC is never known for doing it's software. That's the whole point of the.
Yeah.
It's a worldwide developers conference. This is a software based thing, and people read into the rumors so much that it hurts their expectation going into it. Now, are these announcements as big as last year? No way. You know, the introduction of widgets last year, the more battery options, you know, the fact that it was working better with a lot of our products like AirPods Pro. And again, M1 coming out, Big Sur with the humongous change in the operating system look. Like, there was so much last year that this year was no way going to be near as memorable.
Well, I think there are a lot.
Go back and watch our WWDC 20. How I guarantee you, if you watch our older episode and you go listen to that, how excited we are, it's different than this year.
Yes, but
yes,
I'm more excited about a lot of the features of the new operating systems, features that in the past were taken away, like the multiple email addresses, things that I feel I can use.
Right.
You know,
there's always things we can use.
And how they've enhanced on the privacy, the encryption, the virtual VPN. I mean, those are things that I don't think people, it's not a big bang, but it once people look at it and they'll say, oh, you know, that's really a nice feature, you know? So I think there are a lot of things in here that are going to be very helpful to the Apple user, whether you're new or a seasoned veteran. If you're a seasoned veteran, I think that perhaps you can look at this and say, there's a lot of things in here that, all right, maybe they're not big bang, but they're very useful.
What's not very useful right now is that my podcast app keeps crashing on my computer because I was trying to go back to the older episode, and for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to do it.
Huh.
Like, I opened the podcast app, and it's freaking crashing on me.
Uh-oh. Maybe
they've been having some.
You need new hardware, Will.
Oh, I know I need new hardware, ladies and gentlemen. That is not a fact. I'm waiting for that new 16-inch MacBook Pro to come out, folks. I am waiting on that. That's for sure. What I would tell you is that this year, like, there are a lot of things I like about this one. Definitely was an underwhelming episode. And by the way, I'm gonna let you know, episode 49 was our WWDC 2020. So go back and listen to that one if you want to compare it. But I just felt like there wasn't enough added to the phone that was like, wow, my phone's going to look so much better now. Like, I'll give you an example. tvOS, not mentioned. WatchOS, barely anything new. Barely anything new in there. Yeah. HomeOS, some things I talked about, but a lot of things were, whatever. My biggest gripe, though, is that they decided to do this keynote, introduce features that are pretty much going across all of the platforms. Like, a lot of things were universally coming across, like FaceTime and LifeType and Quick Note, AirPlay. A lot of things were, there wasn't much to talk about in the other once iOS talked. There wasn't much to add to iPadOS or Monterey because a lot of things were coming over from there.
I think what the subtle message is there, Will, that at some point in the very near future, there will only be one operating system.
I do not agree with that whatsoever.
Whether you're on an iPhone, an iPad, an iMac,
Apple will
or a MacBook
not do that.
Pro.
Apple will not take an iPadOS and macOS and merge them. I'm going to tell you now. I will, to the day I die, that will not happen. I am telling. So, Frank, when you leave this planet, I'm going to put on your tombstone in a beautiful line and say iPadOS and macOS are still separated.
Well, you got everything coming across. You got universal controls. You got a lot of the same apps are converging.
They're making them work together a lot better. That I agree with. But they're not going to merge them all together as one thing. I do not see that happening.
We'll see.
All right.
Mark my words, Will.
All right. Well, let's mark it here on June 9th of this recording that he says that everything's going to merge into one OS system, which I do not agree with. I do think they're all going to work together, but they're all going to still stay separated. But that's our podcast episode. We want to thank you for everyone for joining and listening to us talk about WWDC21. We'll be back here in 2 weeks, but remember, you can check out our YouTube channel. And in next episode, I'm going to hook up my new Apple TV 4K. I'm going to put a review online that shows my setup of the Apple TV 4K and my thoughts of it, as well as the new Apple remote. So,
yeah,
so I'm going to give my little teaser. Spoiler alert, it's better. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us for another week here at the Think Different podcast, and I love every single one of you.
Peace out, man. Take care.